Welcome everybody, Film Fan 108 here to a brand new series on the channel, The Honest Truth, where I am going to dive into movie topics and movie discussions and give you both sides of the coin, talk about what's right, what's wrong, all of the sides of the argument, and give you my honest truth on the matter. This is a brand new one for the channel. I figure might as well try it. So hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, definitely do that. Check out all the other videos that are on the channel. And since this is the first episode, might as well go with a little controversy with Warner Brothers and HBO Max versus the entire movie industry. It's a lot to talk about, so let's dive in. So if you have been living under a rock, the news broke about a week or so back that Warner Brothers, through their streaming service HBO Max, is going to release all of their entire 2021 slate of movies on the HBO Max streaming service. Now, that's not to say that they're not coming to movie theaters, because they absolutely are. However, they're also coming on HBO Max the same time as being in the movie theaters, which means that not only can consumers watch it in the movie theaters, but they can also, if they have an HBO Max account, can also watch it at home as well. Now, from the details, from what I know, is basically that if it's on HBO Max, it's going to be there for roughly about a month, give or take. And then after that, it's going to leave the HBO Max streaming service and only be exclusively in the theaters until they leave theaters, and then a short time after that, they'll come back onto the HBO Max service. And this news, okay, basically in a nutshell, when any entertainment news breaks, not everybody will talk about it. There will be certain outlets that are going to talk about this news, certain people on YouTube. Heck, I'm making a video about it. So there's a lot of people that go out of their way to talk to you about movie news and what's going on. But not everybody. It's not such a big hotbed topic that everybody's going to want to dive into it. But this topic got everybody's attention. Everybody, every news site, every organization wanted to talk about it. Why? Because this is huge, gigantic news. And if you also have been living under a rock, 2020 has been one hell of a clusterfuck year. I mean, not only has the pandemic went up and went down, back and forth, you name it, but movie theaters have suffered extremely badly over this course of the year, majorly. There have been theaters that have been shut down for months, some that have closed absolutely permanently, and a lot of these movie studios have pushed back their releases to 2021 or even further back to 2022 or 2023. So it has been literally crazy trying to figure out the movie industry and what's going on, and there is no sure thing. So going into 2021, there is a lot of uncertainty going on. What's going to happen? Are we going to get a vaccine for the virus? Are we going to get it in time where people are going to be safe or feel safe enough to want to go to the movie theaters again? And there's so much unpredictability that's happening that nobody truly knows. You have one side that is saying, like the AMCs of the world and other movie theaters, Cinemark, Regal, you name it, that are saying, oh, hey, by the way, yes, there is a lot of confidence. We're going to be good for 2021. You can trust us. There's movie studios, on the other hand, that are being incredibly uncertain. They just don't know what the future is. You have a lot of these streaming services that are getting newer movies. You have the Disneys of the world. You have the Universals that have released Trolls World Tour, that have released Mulan. You have Soul that is coming to Disney Plus very soon, plus a host of other movies that are hitting these platforms. And so the movie studios are as uncertain about it as consumers are. But movie theaters are trying to hold on to some sort of hope that 2021 is going to be different, but some of these movie studios just aren't listening. So, with this announcement, it really came as a huge body blow to the movie theater industry. And you have to understand that movie theaters are hanging on for dear life. They really honestly are. And so this news literally just almost broke the camel's back in a lot of ways. And it's now a lot of back and forth and jockeying and people coming out and saying this and people coming out and saying that. So let's dive into all that. Now, a lot of these movie theaters, they are extremely upset. And look, rightfully so. At the end of the day, they were hoping that basically some of the movies that I went to these streaming services, that was basically an aberration. It was just a one-time thing, and that was it. Now, with this HBO Max announcement, that is completely changed 110%. Now, AMC and the Cinemarks of the world and Regal and all these other movie theater chains, they are furious. They are pissed off. They feel betrayed, and on top of that, they feel like a lot of these movie studios have completely lost confidence, and they are basically breathing fire and brimstone, literally. Now, you have to understand why. Because the day that this got announced by Warner Brothers, the AMC stock dropped 18.1%. The Cinemark stock, I believe, dropped 18.9%. So, look, at the end of the day, yes, they feel betrayed that these movies, are going same day as movie theaters are going to get them, but it's all about the money, baby. That's what it's about. If your stock is dropping 18% over the news of this, that means that you've lost a crap ton of money. And you have to also remember that the Cinemarks of the world and the AMCs, Regals, they have lost so much money in 2020 already. They are hanging on barely by a thread. They're like Sylvester Stallone in Cliffhanger. They're literally hanging on for dear fucking life because they are depending on the movie studios to back them up. And basically, AMC put out a statement that said, look, we gave a waiver to one film, and that was Wonder Woman 1984, which, as we all know, is coming out Christmas of this year. And they said, look, we have only actually decided to give a waiver to one film. But Warner Brothers has decided that they're going to completely upend this and put all of their 2021 slate here. And they feel like it has betrayed the movie industry. It has betrayed them. And they are dumbfounded by it. And they are incredibly angry. Now, AMC also goes on to say that, look, they feel that with a vaccine that's coming next year, they feel confident that the movie theater industry will bounce back. But in order for them to bounce back, studios like Warner Brothers, like Disney, like Universal, you name it, they have to be on board and they have to trust in the movie theater industry to have them bounce back. They need to have that trust, and they don't. Now, on the other hand, a spokesperson for Warner Brothers came out and said, well, hey, look, we trust that the movie theater industry is going to come back at some point. We trust that. However, we don't really feel that it's going to be 100% in 2021. We just do not. And we have to try to get these movies out to as many people as humanly possible. And they feel their best bet, along with movie theaters, is HBO Max. Now, at the end of the day, this is all about the money. It truly is. Because right now, if you really think about it, there's not really any movies that are right now playing in these movie theaters that can get butts in the seats. They're playing old films, which is fine, but a lot of that stuff is on streaming services already or on physical media. So where's the incentive to go? There's really not. And at the end of the day, you also have to understand that consumers don't really want to go to the movie theaters right now. People are panicked about the coronavirus. People just are not certain if everything is going to be safe, what the protocols are, and they are literally just not wanting to spend the money. And also, look, a lot of people are out of work right now. They're out of work, they don't have a job, they're worried about their finances. The last thing that they want to do is go to the movie theaters when they're worried about paying bills. That's just not what people want to do. So, at the end of the day, the AMCs of the world, the Cinemarks, they've decided, some of them have decided to close movie theaters, others have decided to stay open. But the problem with staying open is that it's the cost of paying your employees. It's the cost of keeping the lights on, the food costs, and bringing in those movies from the studios, because you got to give money to them as well. So there's costs that are mounting for these theater chains, and they just can't support it. So they now look to the future. But when HBO Max gets these movies, and basically in a nutshell, with the HBO Max deal, you have to understand that there is going to be a flat fee to subscribe to HBO Max, okay? Once you pay that flat fee, you can see these movies. So it's not like the Disney Mulan deal, where you had to pay the $30 for Mulan, and then you could finally see it, and that's a forever rental as long as you have Disney Plus. However, with HBO Max, you have to understand that with that one-time fee every single month, you will get all of these movies that are coming in 2021. You're going to get the Dunes, you're going to get the Godzilla vs. Kong, Matrix 4, and many, many others. And so you don't have to worry really about that. And if it's going to be on the streaming service for a month, that means you have 30 days to watch it whenever you please. At the end of the day, I understand why movie theaters are doing this, why they're angry. But you also have to understand that they're doing it from a monetary point of view. They see their stock falling, they see the money dwindling away, and they see a company like Warner Brothers moving all these titles to HBO Max. And they also see the fact that the trends towards streaming are changing. You have to understand this, guys, that back in March, April, around there, when Trolls World Tour came out, right? And Universal did that. Now, you have to remember that the AMCs of the world and the Movie Theater Association, they came out. And they said a huge statement of like, we are angry, we are pissed, we do not like this, we do not support it, and we are going to boycott Universal. Which means that any movies that they have coming out in 2021, whether it's Fast and the Furious, umpteenth whatever name it's going to be, or whatever titles that they're going to come out with, we are going to boycott them. They said that. However, Universal said, okay, fine, you're really going to boycott a Fast and Furious movie that makes a crap ton of money? Okay, fine, go ahead. And what they found was that Trolls World Tour made a decent chunk of change on streaming. It actually did. Who knows whether it would have made more through the movie theaters or not? We will never know that. But they made a good amount of money. And then you look at Disney that released Mulan. And even though Disney is not releasing their full actual numbers of how much money it made, you also have to remember this, that from a lot of reports that have come out, they've made a decent amount of money off of it. And obviously through the physical media, they've made money, and now it's for free on the Disney Plus platform. So now you can just subscribe and get it there as well. So they've made their money off of that, a decent amount of money, and they seem to be very happy with it. Also, you have to look at Bill and Ted 3. Now, Bill and Ted 3 decided we're going to release the movie in theaters and on VOD at the same time. Again, it was a huge risk, and a lot of people thought that maybe that wasn't going to work out for them. However, it actually did. They made a decent amount of money. They made a lot of money off of it. And actually, everybody, the studio, the actors, the producers, everybody is honestly pretty happy with how much money it made. They were actually pretty content with it. So the model for streaming, even though it's not completely 100% foolproof, it actually works. And that scares movie theaters to death. It scares them, because if the model actually works to a certain extent, then it actually means that movie theaters could actually become irrelevant. But they are not the only ones that are really angry, because the movie industry, the directors, the creatives, everybody involved, actors, you name it, they were stunned just like the movie theaters were. And boy, they are hitting back in a big way, baby. I mean, first off, you have Christopher Nolan, who has come out and basically slammed HBO Max, has slammed streaming services, and have basically said that this is a betrayal. He's in disbelief. He feels like Warner Brothers is not really doing the right thing here. They're meant to be on a big screen, and he has just really just railed against this. You also have Denis Villeneuve, who also has come out and has felt betrayed by this news and feels that it's not right, and he just doesn't feel that this is the best decision at all. Now, you have to understand that Denis Villeneuve's movie Dune got pushed back to next year, and that is another Warner Brothers movie, which is going to be put on the HBO Max streaming service. You also have filmmakers like James Gunn, who is really pissed off because, again, he's another one that has a movie coming out next year, Suicide Squad, that is going to be a Warner Brothers picture that is going to HBO Max. And on top of that, you also have to understand this, guys, that basically a lot of these actors and a lot of these directors and producers are stunned because this is now, again, just like with the movie theater issue, it's a money issue. Because now Warner Brothers literally has to restructure a lot of deals that they have made within the industry. They literally have to, guys. What I mean by that is basically that when Wonder Woman 1984 ended up being negotiated to go to HBO Max instead of just on to the movie theaters alone, they made new deals with Patty Jenkins, they made new deals with Gal Gadot, and a bunch of other people. And what that meant was that they basically said to them, look, we understand that going to a streaming service is going to cut down the revenue quite a bit, which means that you had deals with us, you had deals for a certain amount of money that the movie was going to make. Now that's probably not going to be a possibility, so we are going to compensate you for a certain amount. And so they did. They made deals with Patty, they made deals with Gal, and a lot of other people. However, the same cannot be said for everybody else, all those filmmakers and everything else that are getting their movies put on HBO Max. Now, some are trying to get some deals. Denis Villeneuve and James Gunn and the Wachowskis and a lot of other people are trying to get in on this. But they're not going to get the same deals that Patty Jenkins got. They're not going to. That's just not a reality. They pretty much said that. At the same time, a lot of the actors now are wanting to get paid as well. Because, for instance, with Dune, a lot of those actors that signed on to Dune actually took a major pay cut when they signed on to it. Now, why did they do that? They did that because they wanted to get a little bit better in the back end deals when all is said and done with the revenue of the movie, how much it's made over the course of its entire theatrical run globally. That's what they did. And the reason why they did that was because maybe it would have been a little bit easier profit-wise to see sequels being made, and then they could get more money through the sequels. You have to understand that Warner Brothers wants Dune to be a complete and utter franchise, many, many movies. So they figured, well, okay, if we take lesser deals in the front end and take a little bit better in the back end, maybe the movie can make a little bit better money, we can get green-lighted for sequels, come back for more movies, and it all sort of is a chain effect that goes from there. Now, that's kind of an uncertainty. And now these actors are really pissed, along with a lot of the other filmmakers and producers, because they feel like, wow, now maybe a sequel is not exactly guaranteed. Maybe the money that we should have made is now not going to be there. Warner Brothers says they're going to make deals with these people, that they're going to give them the money that they deserve. Is it going to be the amount that they want? Probably not, and which means, of course, everybody gets pissed. On the flip side of that, you also have the producers from Legendary Pictures who are literally now getting ready to sue Warner Brothers and HBO Max. You have to remember that they have a couple movies. They have Godzilla vs. Kong, they have Dune, plus some others, and they were not notified about this deal to go straight to HBO Max, as was the filmmakers. Nobody was known about this until the announcement actually happened. Okay? So now they want to go into court and sue so that those movies don't go directly to HBO Max. And that affects the consumers. Because if those movies and that studio go to the courts to fight over this, they're not going to put it in movie theaters. They're not going to put it on HBO Max. They're just going to leave it alone and let it sit there so that nobody gets to see it. Okay, nobody at all. So people are wanting more money. People are suing. Mass chaos. Cats and dogs living together. It's chaotic. Okay, however, not everybody is extremely pissed, because there is actually an interview with Steven Soderbergh. And Steven Soderbergh has come out and basically praised Warner Brothers and HBO Max for the move. They've actually done it. And basically Steven Soderbergh comes out and says, hey, look, by the way, he understands why Warner Brothers is doing this. He says, look, the movie theater industry is not going to be 100% foolproof in 2021. Steven Soderbergh has come out and said, look, you don't have consumer confidence. You don't. There's just not that type of consumer confidence out there. There's just not going to be. So now you have to trust that people are just wanting to go to the movie theaters. That's not how it works. And Warner Brothers understands that they cannot just go on a hunch and release these movies and let it fail. In fact, Warner Brothers has even come out and said that Christopher Nolan's Tenet is one of the reasons why they actually made this decision. Because they were bold enough, with Christopher Nolan's recommendation, to put Tenet in movie theaters. That Tenet was actually going to be the savior of the movie theater industry. Because once Tenet made a lot of money, then the floodgates were going to open and everybody was going to release their movies, and the movie theaters are going to be saved. Yes! Woo! Tenet, the savior, baby. But that didn't happen. In fact, Tenet kind of floundered at the box office. I mean, it made a decent chunk of change, don't get me wrong, but it really didn't do well as per industry standards and per what the studios and experts were really hoping it was. So it really disappointed as far as box office is concerned, as far as the expectations were concerned. And that really opened up Warner Brothers' minds and ideas. It opened it up, and they basically said, well, look, wow, if a big tentpole movie like Tenet is not going to bring them in because they're still scared of COVID and still scared of all this stuff, then we can't. We can't keep on gambling like this. We can't just do it. We're losing out on money. These movies, you have to remember, these big tentpole movies, like a Matrix 4, like a Kong, you name it, they cost upwards of $200-300 million. And sometimes that doesn't even include the promotional costs of, releasing the trailers and the ads and all that jazz. There's so much that goes into it. You have to remember that, guys. So at the end of the day, these movie studios like Warner Brothers are risking a lot of money. And when it underperforms like something like Tenet does, which costs a lot of money, then somebody has to pay the price. There's some decision that has to be made, and that's what they did. Now, some people have actually slammed Christopher Nolan for the comments that he's made. They've called him ignorant, and they realize that maybe he's not all about the artistic credibility, he's more about the money and control, and that his comments really are not really understanding of where we are. On the other hand, some people are praising Christopher Nolan and others for speaking out against this. Now, look, at the end of the day, Warner Brothers and HBO Max have said that they're only doing this in 2021. That once 2022 happens, basically, we're going back to normal. And that's what we're going to do. Even Steven Soderbergh has come out and said, look, he doesn't believe that this is a permanent thing. that it's actually going to stick, that things are going to come back to normal eventually. However, you have to understand that streaming has become more prevalent year after year after year. With big screen TVs, 65, 75, 85-inch TVs with great picture and sound quality, people are staying home more and more and more. It's the convenience aspect to it. And a lot of these studios and corporations have made streaming platforms because they recognize the profits. They recognize where the trends are going. You see Disney Plus, you see obviously Netflix and Hulu, and obviously now HBO Max, and Paramount is going to be doing their own streaming service, and you see a bunch of them. CBS All Access, Apple Plus, you name it, they're all there. And at the end of the day, they're making a lot of money off of those streaming services, and Warner Brothers wants to do the same. Now, also, you also have to understand here, guys, that HBO Max right now, as far as subscribers, are kind of floundering. The subscriber count for HBO Max is really not as big as they would have wanted it to be. Certainly not as big as Disney Plus or Netflix, and you name it. So they're lagging behind in the streaming game. So they also see releasing these movies in 2021 as almost like a certain amount of play for their streaming service, and to say, hey, you can only find these if you want to have a nice time inside and not have to worry about, somebody sneezing or coughing or not wearing the mask. You can watch it safely on HBO Max. You have to be a subscriber. So they want to get the subscriber count up. Okay? Again, this is all about money. Now, do I 100% believe that we're going to go back to normal in 2022? No, I don't. I don't believe that for a single second. Now, look, I'm going to take HBO Max, I'm going to take Warner Brothers for their word, because right now I have no other choice. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't see into the future. God, I wish I would, but I don't. Okay? And so I have to take them at their word. So I'm assuming January 1st of 2022, they're going to be like, no more of what all of this stuff is going on for HBO Max. None of these movies on the same day as movie theaters. However, let's say a wild prediction. Let's say, God forbid, that this is a huge success, that the subscriber count is massive, and they're going to make a lot of money off of putting these movies on the streaming platform. Do you think they're going to walk away from that? Do you seriously think that they're going to say, wow, January 1st, 2022, I mean, we did say we were going to do it, so of course we're going to completely, be true to our word and, and do that. That's it. No, of course they're not going to do it, guys, because they understand that if they're making the money, why would they stop doing it? I mean, Disney Plus is continuing to put more of these movies on their streaming services. There's going to be more $30 rentals because Disney sees the advantage of it by doing the Mulan thing. There's going to be a lot of other studios that are going to sell off titles to Netflix and Hulu and other properties. We're seeing it now, and it's going to continue into 2021. Movie theaters at one point had so much massive power that they could go to a movie studio and they could say, you are not releasing this on streaming. Why? Because we will not play any of the other titles that you have, and we are going to boycott you, which means that you are going to lose revenue from us. They used to be able to do that. Now, they are literally like Oliver with like the porridge. May I have some more? And the moose are like, more? Exactly. Because they are in a bad position. And it only took less than a year for it to happen. That's monumental. Huge. And so now the movie studios see a shift, and they see a turn, and they see an opportunity to get back some of the control that they may have lost from some of the movie theaters. And you also have to understand, with this pandemic, that a lot of movie theaters have completely closed. Not temporarily, but for good. A lot of Regals have closed, and some AMCs, and a lot of other ones across the country. So they're desperate. They're absolutely 100% desperate, and they understand that they need the movie studios and they need these movies more than ever. And so they have to start cutting deals. They have to start cutting deals, and they have to start accepting the reality that streaming is not leaving. It's kind of interesting because, when physical media was really fighting with streaming, and in fact, physical media is still struggling in a lot of ways against streaming. The movie theaters and the movie industry never really came to the defense of physical media. If you really think about it, they never really did. They saw streaming as an option for, after the movies are done, well, it's going on streaming, and, good luck to physical media. Now that the movie theaters are now struggling against streaming, hopefully they understand a little bit of the heat that has been put on physical media and how much they've actually hurt because of this. I'm not saying that streaming is completely right, nor am I saying streaming is completely wrong. But what I'm saying is that you have to look at it from Warner Brothers' point of view. And the point of view from Warner Brothers is very simple, guys. And it's basically that these movies have been pushed back so much now that they're trying to make other movies, they're trying to have a release schedule, and everything is so uncertain. They pushed these movies back 2-3 times already. And they just can't keep on holding back any longer. They just can't do it. And I understand the Christopher Nolans of the world, and I understand the AMCs of the world going out and saying Warner Brothers has betrayed us, has betrayed the filmmaking community, and these movies need to be on the big screen. And I understand that. But, you have Christopher Nolan saying that these movies need to be in front of the widest audience as humanly possible. Well, that's what Warner Brothers and HBO Max is trying to do. For good or bad, they're trying to have as many people be able to watch these movies as humanly possible. Whether you go to the movie theaters or whether you stay home, they want to give everybody an opportunity to watch these movies in whatever way they choose to. And that's the honest truth, guys. That's the honest to God truth. And for me, look, I understand the frustrations that people have, and I get both sides of the argument. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to money. But you also have to understand that these movies need to be released at a certain point. There's so many movies that, are supposed to come out in 2021. But will they move to 2022? There's no guessing. You don't know. Nobody really truly understands this, guys. So right now, we are in a complete free fall. And right now, there's no bottom. And so we have to somehow figure this out, slowly but surely. And HBO Max has seen the Disney Plus way of doing things. They've seen Netflix. They've seen all these other options. And they tried with Tenet. And they realized it just wasn't possible. And so, at the end of the day, do I blame Warner Brothers for betraying the movie industry? No, I don't. But I don't blame everybody coming out against them. Because at the end of the day, we need to preserve the movie theater experience. Well, we also have to recognize that streaming is not going away at any time soon. So, we need to coexist at some point. Now, that's easier said than done. Will they? Well, I guess we'll just have to see, right? Well, the future is very uncertain, but it's what we make of it. So let's hope we can all get along, guys. But I hope you enjoyed my honest truth about the movie theater industry versus HBO Max, some of the wild stuff that is going on right now. God knows when it's ever going to really get resolved, but I'm dying to see what actually happens. I truly, truly am. And, give at least Warner Brothers at least some sort of praise, because at least they're trying. Some people have just literally put a lot of their movies indefinitely, and there's really no release date for any of them. So at least Warner Brothers is trying, And with movies like Wonder Woman 1984, the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, and a lot of these other titles, it might be a good time to get into streaming. And if you can watch it at the comfort of your home with your big screen TV and some friends around you, that might be the best option. Definitely let me know what you guys think, and I hope, again, you enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely give it the thumbs up. Let me know what other movie topics you want me to discuss, what other stuff you want me to dive into for all you movie lovers out there. Definitely let me know. Watch some of the other videos that are on the channel, the Blu-ray, DVD out and about that I do every single week, the movie reviews with my friends, movie hunting videos, live streams, Blu-ray pickup videos, and much more. If you are a lover of movies and physical media, hit subscribe and become part of the Film Fan Nation. Thank you everybody for truly supporting the channel, supporting me, giving me really great movie ideas. I really appreciate it so much, and trust me, there is so much more to come. So if you like how I talk about movies, definitely hit subscribe. And keep up to date with everything I'm doing through Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, Film Fan 108, where I do special pictures and videos from time to time on social media. Alright guys, I will see you back next time for another honest truth where I dive into movie topics. Can't wait guys, I will see you back next time. Take care and enjoy movies.